Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
Hello and welcome to the Herd. It's a lovely Wednesday in Los Angeles. That's right, it's me, Jason McIntyre, coming out of the bullpen to fill in for the injured, struggling Colin Cowherd. He's down for the count with some sort of cough, sneeze, flu deal. You know, hey, listen, when the weather turns cold in Chicago, it's tough. You got to get a jacket. I guess Colin's going to have to buy one now. He'll be back tomorrow, he promises. He got 11 hours sleep, and, things line up perfectly because I get to fill in. And you know I'm talking about the New York Football Jets for 3 straight hours. Joined today by the great Rachel Nichols. Rachel, not as excited about the Jets as I am, but
Who is, Jason?
Big night today in Los Angeles. Obviously, the Lakers hosting Victor Wembanyama. Rachel will be there. I'm efforting tickets as we speak, but we'll hopefully have a great night. But Rachel, we got to start with the NFL. And as a long-suffering Jets fan, don't ask me how I got into being a Jets fan. I was born in New York. Family moved to D.C., and I decided I don't want to root for these Washington, at the time, Redskins. Let me go to my hometown roots, the New York Jets. And folks, it's been a long time since we've had anything to cheer about. And then on NFL trade deadline day, it becomes basically the greatest day in franchise history for anyone under the age of 50. Obviously, you know, the Jets won with Joe Namath way back in the day. Colin loves to reference those days. I don't know them. They're foreign to me. So as a Jets fan, the reason I'm celebrating is the trades. You know, it wasn't working with the defensive strategy, as is often the case in the NFL. We'll talk about that later with a couple great guests. But they're going offense, and they have moved off Sauce Gardner, the great cornerback who was an All-Pro in his first 2 seasons, and Quinnen Williams. He shipped to Dallas. Folks, it is a celebratory day if you're a Jets fan. This season's going to be tough. I saw one of these who won the trades. The 2025 Jets are listed as losers. They're going to stink this season. We're 1-7. Yes, I could say we. And maybe we win a couple games, but it's not about this year. It's for the future. Because, folks, we rich. We got a war chest of picks in the next 2 drafts. Okay? We got 2 first-rounders and a second in 2026. And look at that, 2027. I mean, they're loaded. 3 first-round picks. Now, I know you guys are all over draft boards like I am. Yeah, you know what they're saying. 2026 draft, it's fine, it's good. 27, maybe the greatest NFL draft ever. Headlined by, obviously, the great Mr. Smith at Ohio State. And who knows, maybe Arch Manning's a superstar at that point. But to recap the trades, the teardown. Oh, wait, it's not a teardown? Let's go to Jets GM Darren Muji.
I wouldn't call it a teardown. And the goal is always to win. Look, these coaches and players work too hard every day, all day, with the goal of winning on Sunday. And that never changes because that's what the fans deserve. That's what the players deserve. That's what the coaches deserve. And that never changes.
Well said. I learned out who Darren Muji was basically yesterday. He's been anonymous, hasn't been in the role that long. But I don't want to look too much at the past, okay? As my son likes to say, trust, Dad, trust. I'm trusting in the Jets' future, guys. The past is a place of reference, not residence. You don't want to live in the past. You can reference it, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to bring up a certain Detroit Lions team that, not too long ago had a terrible run. Then they trade for Jared Goff, fix the offensive line, and they start to figure things out. And they hire a gentleman by the name of Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, kind of rough around the edges, had to develop a culture in Detroit. These things aren't built overnight. And if you remember, in 2022, the Lions start 1-6, and everybody's scoffing at Campbell. I may have been in that group. And then they turn things around, and they end up 9-8. And in the 2023 draft, the Detroit Lions had 4 picks in the first 45. 4 in the first 45 off a 9-8 season. Folks, they hit a grand slam home run in that 2023 draft. Jahmyr Gibbs, who people were like, hey, well, Jahmyr, a running back that early? I don't know. Then they got the kid Campbell, the linebacker. Come on, these are not premium positions. Detroit, what are you doing? And then in the second round, this is when they made 2 great picks. Sam Laporta, the tight end, who's playing at an all-pro level, and Brian Branch, who was an all-pro last season. 4 picks, 4 major hits. They made the jump to light speed. The next season, 12-5. Last year, 15-2. You can turn things around quickly with the right draft picks. And I can already hear you shouting at your radio or your TV, JMAC, come on. The Jets don't have anything. Actually, the infrastructure is kind of sort of there. We're just not seeing the results yet. And oh, by the way, you guys know Aaron Glenn came from Detroit, right? He was on that Dan Campbell staff, saw what Dan Campbell instilled as a culture. It takes some time. These things must bake. You've got to give them time. And I hope that the Jets give Aaron Glenn time because, frankly, I don't know if they're going to go and take Fernando Mendoza, the kid out of Indiana, with the #1 pick. By the way, I love Fernando Mendoza. I learned more about him on his LinkedIn page than I did his IG. Yeah, I want my quarterback who's updating his LinkedIn page. He already graduated from business school. He's getting a second master's in business at Indiana. And oh, by the way, he's one of the Heisman favorites. I mean, this guy's a genius. A 6'5" quarterback, winning from the pocket, had multiple offensive coordinators. Listen, I'm starting to buy into Fernando Mendoza. But here's the beauty of having options like the Jets have. If he's not your guy and you realize, we like him, we don't love him. Is it possible that maybe we go with the Giants strategy? We get a defensive player early, and at the end of the first round, we find a quarterback. It's looking good for Jackson Dart in New York. All right, let's pivot to one of the teams that traded with the Jets yesterday, and that's the Dallas Cowboys, led by their carnival barker of an owner, Jerry Jones. Guys, I know a lot of Cowboys fans. They are long-suffering like the Jets. I mean, they haven't been to an NFC championship. Longest drought in the NFC. It's bad. It's bleak. But, oh, by the way, some people in Dallas are applauding Jerry's move yesterday to grab Quinnen Williams from my Jets. Me, in the morning meeting, I'm catching strays all over the place. These guys are like, oh, I like what Dallas did. I like what Jerry did. Really? You guys like Jerry Jones saying, yeah, we got Micah Parsons, who, by the way, 2 years ago was like the focal point of an incredible defense that ranked 4th in the league. Yes, that's right. In Mike McCarthy's great 12-win season 2 years ago, the Dallas defense, led by Micah, was 4th in the league. But last year, Dak gets hurt. The backup quarterbacks can't do anything. The defense crumbles, suffers injuries, and they're terrible. So let's move off Micah. Let's not pay him. 9 games into the season. Oh, my gosh, our defense is a tire fire. Let's go get Quinnen Williams. Like, what are we doing? Here's Jerry Jones on making it up on the fly on the radio yesterday.
I don't have time, personally, to have a bad time. It's not on my schedule. And so I have a natural urgency because of my age. And so my tomorrows, the immediate tomorrow, are a big thing to me. But I also have enough discipline not to get in trouble for years to come.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, Cowboys fans, are you following? I mean, you got whiplash, A, listening to your owner / GM, and B, following all these moves. And here's the crazy part. If you look in totality at the Micah deal and the Quinnen Williams deal, guys, they didn't get that much for Micah Parsons, who's basically had one of the best runs of any defensive player in the history of the NFL. That ain't hyperbole. Those are facts. I mean, go look at what Micah Parsons has done in his career. He's been unbelievable. I love Quinnen Williams. I hyped the hell out of him when he was with my Jets. Well, now that they've traded him, I'm ready to be objective and say, oh, he's had a really good career. 6 seasons, 1 All-Pro. Is he elite at his position? Well, he's certainly not top 5. He's been great against the run, and that's what Dallas wants him to do. Fine. Okay, great. I don't know how that helps your secondary and $92 million man, Mr. Bland, who's still on his rear end after getting cooked by Marvin Harrison Monday night. I mean, listen, this Dallas defense is a laughingstock. And Jerry Jones is just making it up on the fly. I mean, forget about plans. If you're not planning, what are you doing? And then you hear the owner saying, that's not on my timeline. We got to turn it around real quick. I know that everybody was excited about Dallas at times this season, and I've taken the bait. I'm not going to lie. I fell for it. When they were able to put up 40 on the Packers and look good, I was like, oh, maybe there's something here. But then you drill down a little bit like, oh, defense got destroyed by Caleb Williams, and they just got dog walked by Jacoby Brissett. Did you see that stat, guys? The Arizona Cardinals were the only team in the league not to have a drive over 74 yards in the season. Jacoby Brissett had 2 of those back-to-back for touchdowns against Dallas Monday night. Like, at that point, I'm sure Jerry sees it. It's like, oh, we got to overpay for Quinnen Williams. Let's remember, by the way, as an aside on the Jets, apparently Muji wasn't making calls for Quinnen and Sauce. He's fielding calls. So Jerry, reactionary as ever to his defense getting embarrassed by Jacoby Brissett, says, oh, man, we got to go get Quinnen Williams. Like, that's not how you want to operate. What are we doing? Like, something wacky happens this next month? Like, oh, we got to apply it to next off season? Like, it's just not how they're not a serious football program right now. I mean, they haven't been for years. I just cannot fathom how Dallas fans are dealing with this. I'm all excited because the Jets have moved off players. Meanwhile, Jerry Jones is tinkering, thinking, oh, we got something. I don't know if we can call up the Dallas schedule here, but have you guys seen what they've got coming up? This idea that Quinnen's going to help them to the playoffs is laughable. They got a 3-game stretch here. Eagles, Chiefs, Lions. And by the way, the Vikings and Chargers are not chopped liver. So this team's not going to the playoffs this year. And if you want to sell me on, hey, Jay, I think it's probably for next year. Okay, that's not a bad idea. Can I ask you, what are you doing with Pickens on the outside? He's in a contract year. Are you suddenly paying him big money to be the T. Higgins to Lamb's Jamar Chase? Is that what we're doing? So we're going to become Bengals NFC? Because that's what it feels like. I just feel like there's no plan in place. Planning is invaluable. And I don't think Jerry does that. It feels to me like he's making it up on the fly. So I know I've opened the show with a lot of positivity, followed by some negativity. We'll do plenty of positive. Rachel's here, obviously, and we are excited. Rachel, I am just curious before we go to break here. Jerry Jones, reactionary, hey, we need to do this now, not on my timeline. You hear that as a Cowboys fan, and I know you're a Washington fan, probably excited.
Do not call me a Cowboys fan. Come on.
Yeah. But as a Washington fan, you hear that, you're like, oh, heck yeah. I love this.
I mean, look, what did Jerry say? That he's old? So, his timeline is not necessarily the Cowboys' timeline.
Yeah.
I saw this as a trade for next year, honestly. The Cowboys have issues in their secondary. This is not going to fix everything, but it will set them more on the right track than they currently are. Okay. So that's okay.
Enjoy the 6 wins this year. 7 maybe, Cowboys fans. All right, coming up next, did an AFC team miss their win? Did they make a mistake not making a move? We'll talk about that next on The Herd.
All right, today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. They're a great partner. There's always something to bet on. If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet yet, there's still time for you to get $150 in bonus bets. If you win, just place a $5 bet. That's it, $5. If it hits, you not only get your winnings, but you get $150 in extra bonus bets. The NBA is back, which means it's time to shoot your shot on Hard Rock Bet. You're home for all the hoops action all season long. If you need a little help with your first bet, check out the streaks heating up inside the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. You can find live odds to bet on all of these streaks right in the Hard Rock Bet app. Download the Hard Rock Bet app today and make your first deposit.
Back here on The Herd, got some great guests coming up. Joel Klatt, top of next hour. Cannot wait to talk to him about all the quarterbacks the Jets will be sifting through to find, hopefully, their hidden gem in the draft. Folks, that's why I'm optimistic. It's fun. Like, there's optimism. I see Rachel laughing over there. Like, yeah, listen, I'm giddy. It feels like Christmas and I'm like 11 years old and there's presents everywhere. It's like, yes, what's in there?
I just love that there is no story you cannot tie to the Jets.
Yes. And I know the Jets are like a no-fly zone because they stink and nobody cares. But when you're passionate about something, hey, let's rock with it. Let me quickly talk about the Indianapolis Colts because they're kind of all in. You guys, I like to play poker. Occasionally, you think you can bluff your way to a big haul. Or maybe you just are like, you know what, I'm sick of this. I'm bored. I'm going home. It's just a friendly poker game. I'm going all in. The smart people and the smart poker players and the smart NFL teams usually draft and develop and maybe supplement a little bit through free agency and trades, right? Draft and develop is the way to go. And if you looked at the deadline yesterday, a lot of the major contenders did nothing. And you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But you have a team like the Colts taking a big swing. And I had a Colts buddy who texted me and was like, this is so out of character for Ballard. He basically has drafted and developed with the Colts. He hasn't done much of, hey, let's make a big, huge swing, give up draft picks. And so I'm like, what do you think this is about? Now, one of the guys on staff has tried to talk me into this topic. Not really talk me into, but he's brought it up, and it's interesting. Talked about it on my podcast and with others. The Colts' new owner is now like on the sideline, wearing a headset, taking notes. And she's not saying much. She's just very involved. And I've workshopped a couple ideas about what's going on because the indie media hasn't really gotten much out of her. She did have some great quotes recently. But it's like, I wonder, is Chris Ballard saying, damn, we got one playoff win in the last 10 years. Daniel Jones is out-kicking his coverage here. He's playing way above the rim. He's doing awesome. Hell, Ravens don't look formidable. They had the Lamar injury. Chiefs, are they dominant? Yeah, JMAC's out here on TV saying they're not going to the playoffs. Bills, shucks, they got smacked by the Falcons. Is this our year? Can we pull this off? Should we go all in? And it's a fascinating question, you guys know, because I'm part of an ownership group of a soccer team in the top Mexican league. I love team building and moving the chess pieces around, and it's not easy. And you see the Colts, and I just wonder, was this an irrational move by them, or does this make them legit contenders? Because I'm going to be honest with you. If you go by Vegas and you say, who are the Colts playing in the playoffs? Oh, they're playing the Chiefs? They're going to be underdogs, even if they're at home. Oh, the Colts are playing the Bills? They're going to be underdogs. What about the Ravens? Yeah, same deal. And by that metric, it's like, should you have gone all in? Because let's be real, this Daniel Jones deal, 1 year, $14 million. You guys remember what happened when Daniel Jones had success in New York? He wasn't even this good in New York, but they got to the playoffs. He didn't make a lot of mistakes, and they beat the Vikings. Then he went into contract negotiations, and he said he wanted all the money. The stories about what was going on at that table, pretty legendary. And guess what? The Giants bent over backwards and gave it to him. Within about a couple months, oh, what did we do? We can't afford Saquon? And then Daniel takes the field, and the next season they were terrible, and it's like, goodbye. Couldn't run him out of town quick enough. So I know he's had a rejuvenated season, if you will, but what if this is 8 weeks of fool's gold? And what we just saw against Pittsburgh is probably closer to the real Danny Dimes. And by the way, how about the name change? He went from Danny Dimes. I started calling him Danny Loose Change. And now he has rebranded in Indy as Indiana Jones. Okay. We'll see how that works out. So I like Sauce Gardner. I think he's going to fit in Captain Lou's defensive scheme, heavy zone. I mean, with his length and instincts, I mean, Sauce Gardner is going to do well. But as I alluded to yesterday, they're going to be facing the Bills in the playoffs. So is he like, hey, we're going to erase this side of the field? All right. I mean, Bills got great tight ends underneath, slot receiver. Like, there's nobody you need to remove from the Bills. Same deal with the Ravens. The Chiefs have Rashee Rice, but I don't know that he's a 1 yet, guys. He's a 1 on my fantasy team, that's for sure. But I just have some questions about the Colts. I do applaud them. We're close. We're going all in. I respect that. Remember, the Jets. See, Rachel, she's right. I'm going to bring it back to the Jets. They were close. They go all in Aaron Rodgers. I wanted something else. But when they did go all in, I supported it. Then Rodgers gets hurt. It ends quickly. But I ultimately do not believe this will lead to much for the Colts. And now you're going to have to probably overpay Daniel Jones. He's not going to want some bargain basement $25, $30 million a year deal. He's going to say, listen, I was one of the best quarterbacks you've had in the last decade since Andrew Luck left. What else you got? You going to go get Kyler Murray now, Shane? Here's Shane Steichen, by the way, on the radio this morning on the Indianapolis trade.
Obviously, really excited about adding Sauce Gardner to our football team. His resume speaks for itself, Pro Bowler, All-Pro. So to get a guy into the building like that, it just elevates everybody around us. So really excited to add him to the fold.
By the way, Gardner was All-Pro the first 2 years. Last year, he struggled. You could argue that they were a sinking ship. He was unhappy. This year, when targeted, he's got a passer rating allowed of 118. Not great. Now, again, you could argue sinking ship, Jets stink, he was checked out. Okay, I'll buy that. But good luck with that, Colts. Let's go to Rachel Nichols with the news.
No. Heard on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Jason, this isn't a Jets story, so I'm sorry about that. But J.J. McCarthy stepped in against the Lions. He was sidelined, remember, with that ankle injury for 5 weeks. He looked the part. McCarthy accounted for 3 total touchdowns, helped Minnesota stop a 2-game losing streak. But here's the spice. After the game, J.J. posted this on his Instagram with the caption, quote, "Kneecaps are intact," which seems to be a shot at Dan Campbell's famous biting the kneecaps quote, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
I guess we should also note that JJ blew out his knee in his rookie year. So, you know, they could maybe make the case it was about that. But I personally, I think this is a shot at Campbell. What do you expect to see from McCarthy and the Vikings here?
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Rachel, it's weird. He's had 3 starts, and we're supposed to like render a verdict if he can't play or he can't play. We need to let it bake just a little, right? I mean, they got a tough one this weekend against the Ravens. They're at home, and I'm seeing Baltimore's favored by 4 in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Ravens defense isn't great. Do you think McCarthy is the guy there, or do we don't know yet?
I think he could be.
Could be.
Right?
I mean, Harbaugh loves him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine with J.J. McCarthy. I don't know if he's going to duplicate Darnold's numbers from last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially Darnold's having success.
Darnold's
That's always
crushing it in Seattle.
Tough to live up to. All right, let's talk a little Warriors. Jimmy Butler left yesterday's win against the Suns with lower back soreness. Now, Butler came into that game questionable. He ended up playing, but then he tweaked his back during the game, didn't return after halftime. Jimmy is currently considered questionable again for the Warriors game tonight against Sacramento. Meanwhile, Jason, Draymond Green is unlikely to play on the second night of a back-to-back. Steph Curry has already been ruled out with illness.
He's sick.
Maybe the same thing Colin has. I don't know. Maybe they've been hanging out together. I don't know. I couldn't say. Look, it's obviously early, but the Warriors sit in 6th right now in the West. Do you have concerns? I mean, this is a much older roster. And we're already seeing, they have to sit out after a back-to-back or some injuries, that kind of thing. I mean, a back injury, that's an old man injury, obviously.
Yeah. Where do you stand on this whole sitting out on back-to-backs? Because they had Austin Reeves and Luka do it with the Lakers. They're not at the same age as Steph Curry and Draymond Green. I have no problem with this. And I know, like, a lot of people are like, you got to play. Michael Jordan's out here talking about, you got to play 82 games. Like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
I want to see Steph Curry playing meaningful games. Sorry, not November 5th against the Sacramento Kings on a back-to-back.
Yeah. And you know, they purposely sometimes are like, it's a back-to-back and it's against the Sacramento Kings. We're good. Draymond, take a seat. I'm okay with it because you want a guy as close to 100% as you can get every time he's out on the floor. And if you feel like back-to-backs put him into some sort of risk because of his age, because of, injuries, because of anything, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth missing the next month or 2.
Yeah. I only watched a little Warriors. I'm more interested in Lakers, Rockets, a couple other teams. But what have you seen? Every time I look at the box score, they're playing like 12 guys. They're playing so many. They're lessening the minutes for Curry. Feels like good strategy from Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. Look, he knows they're an older team.
Yeah.
They want to make a long playoff run. Steph Curry's window is closing. This is sort of the last ride with Butler, with these other guys. And he wants to make it all count. And he's getting more production from a lot of these guys than he did last season. And look, Jimmy Butler, he might be sitting out tonight with a back injury, but there's been 31 regular season games since he got there. He's played in 30 of them. So we maybe are talking about old man injuries, but
and isn't their record good with Butler, Curry? Yeah, with the whole group. Yeah, they're stacked.
Yeah. All right. Let's move over to Cooper Flagg.
Oh, boy.
With the Mavs. Cooper's still finding his way in the league. The Mavericks are off to a rough start. Kevin Durant, though, after a recent game, said, don't worry, the future is still bright for the rookie. Take a listen.
I just think it's always good for young players to just be thrown into the fire, just go play. Jay Kidd is an incredible coach that knows the game inside and out as a player and as a coach. So, no matter what position he is, I think he's just a basketball player, and he's only going to get better.
KD went on to say that he really feels for Cooper, Jason, because Cooper's playing at guard after spending his whole time prior to that at forward. Remember, KD came into the league in college. He played the 4 or the 5, and then he came into the NBA in a 2. So he knows that that's a real adjustment. You've been higher on Cooper Flag. What do you think of all this?
It's the narrative, and I try not to pay too much attention to what else is going on in the media. Sometimes it's impossible with social media. The narrative is Cooper Flag ain't it. Oh, Jason, you said this guy's going to be all NBA. He's nothing. We don't want to. How old is he, Rachel?
18.
He's 18 years old. Like, what are we doing? He's got the worst plus minus since LeBron as a rookie when he was 18, or maybe he was 19.
How did that work out?
It's going to be fine. I think the bigger story is what's going on with Anthony Davis. I mean, like, Cooper Flag is going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
AD, Nico Harrison, where's my guy Supermax Christie? What's he doing? I mean, Rachel, if I'm Cooper Flag, I'm begging Kyrie to come back, but it sounds like, I think you said he's like this hope that, Kyrie's killing it in practice.
Yeah.
It's not like he's coming back in a month or 2 or 3.
No. End of the season, maybe not at all this season.
Yeah.
And remember, Nico, when he made the trade, the Luka trade, he put the Mavericks on a much tighter timeline, right? So trading for a player in Anthony Davis who is 6 years older than Luka, he said he thinks the championship window was in the next 3 years after the Luka trade. That's part of this pressure on Cooper Flag, right? Because if you feel like these seasons are dwindling down when you have promised to deliver a title,
I mean,
you got to stick Cooper at guard because he is the best playmaker that you have out there right now with everyone else injured. It's not necessarily what's best for Cooper.
Those are rough stats you see on the screen, 38% shooting, 30% from 3. But he's an 18-year-old rookie, and their best, well, I guess their best player is AD or Kyrie. I don't know. But bottom line is 2 of their best 3 players are out.
Yeah.
Like, you can't expect much from him. I think Cooper Flag's going to be fine. I wonder if Nico Harrison is going to be fine, but
we will see.
Another topic
Jason.
for another day. All right, Rachel with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
All right, coming up next, we're going to go to Vegas. Details on, did any of these NFL moves move the needle on Super Bowl contenders? We'll talk about that next. Back here on the Herd. Yes, we are going to talk a little bit of NFL here, but I'm going to wedge in some college football because our next guest, he knows the sport very well. Let's bring in Chris Fallica from Fox Big Noon Kickoff, the Bear Bets podcast, and most importantly, a long-suffering Jets fan, just like myself. We got to talk about, listen, there's a lot of fans out there, Chris, who don't get what it's like to be a Jets fan. I mean, Packers fans have no clue. You've had 3 quarterbacks in the last 40 years. I mean, New England Patriots, you lose Brady and then, you stumble into Drake May. I'm just telling you, life as a Jets fan stinks. But, Chris, is this the greatest day in franchise history over the last 50 years?
It's pretty optimistic. The one thing I worry about is that weren't we kind of here in 2023? We're going to have, 7 picks in the first 2 rounds in next 2 years. But it's like, didn't we pick Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and Jermaine Johnson in the top 20, whatever it was, in 2023? And here we are starting all over again. Yeah. But I do think it does feel a little bit different this time. It does feel like they are committed to the tear it all down and build it back up. I think the good thing about the 2026 draft is that I wouldn't feel obligated to go take one of those quarterbacks. I think if you wait until 2027, I think there's a chance that the guys available on that draft might be better. But the fact that you're picking up a late first-round pick, if you want to take a chance on one of those guys and lock in a contract, sure. But I still think the avenue is accrue assets, accrue offensive linemen, defensive linemen, real impact position players and go for that. But you're right. Remember when Browning Nagel was the saver for the Jets? Vinny Testaverde, we're going to the Super Bowl after losing at Denver, and midway through the first quarter tells it Phillies and season's over.
You're right. They did do that in the draft a few years ago, 22, I believe. Here's the interesting thing. In Aaron Rodgers' first year, Chris, their win total was 9.5. The defense was, I think, third in the league. Like, they were all set, and then Rodgers gets hurt. They finished 7-10. Otherwise, I don't know. Are they a 10-win team? Remember, Rodgers 4 years ago was thought to be good.
I was all in that year, and I can remember sending Bob Wischusen, the voice of the Jets, and a couple of other Jets fans of mine, like, I am far too confident in August, and like, we know how this is going to end, and it lasted all of, 3 plays, but you're right. That year, it was lined up. They were good. They were legit good, and maybe it would have worked out because they were put their chips in the middle of the table for Aaron, and who knows what would have happened, but we'll see what happens. The good thing is that Aaron Glenn has been through this in Detroit, so he knows what it looks like. And there are obviously people who may not think that Aaron Glenn should be the long-term solution at head coach based on what we've seen this year. But I think also the kind of the sidebar to what we've seen from yesterday is that they're committed to Aaron Glenn for much more than this year and next year if they're banking on picks in 26 and 27.
Maybe he's Dan Campbell in 3 years. I don't know.
Very easily.
As we transition to college football, let me ask specifically about a quarterback the Jets could target, and that is Mr. Mendoza at Indiana. I was on his LinkedIn page this morning because he has a robust LinkedIn page. This guy's already got a business school graduate. He's 22 years old. I think he's just turned 22. I mean, we're talking about a very intelligent, smart quarterback who I think has had 4 different offensive coordinators since he's been in college football. He sounds the part. He is super impressive on paper. You've seen him up close. Well, your thoughts on Indiana's quarterback?
I think he's very good. If I am the Jets, I am not taking him at the top of the draft, 1, 2, or 3. I don't claim to know everything about the quarterback position, but my co-host Jeff Schwartz on Bear Bets podcast has kind of really watched him quite a bit, being an Oregon guy and really breaking down that game. He's kind of said that a lot of Mendoza's throws are kind of outside the hashes, outside middle of the field, and that down the field, middle of the field kind of throw, like he doesn't have that in his arsenal yet, or he hasn't shown it. So I'd be a little hesitant taking him that high. I think this is going to be a great year for a team maybe like the Titans, who doesn't need a quarterback at the top of the draft to maybe try and get one of these guys to try to take it. But I think if you're looking at Indiana college football wise, it just kind of feels like it's building up towards the end of the year. Winner take all in Indy. Number 1 Ohio State, number 2 Indiana. Winner gets the number 1 overall seed. Winner's ranked number 1. Winner gets the undefeated season. Winner gets the Big Ten title. And winner, whether it's Julian Sayin or Fernando Mendoza, they get the Heisman Trophy.
I like that take. Indiana at Penn State, I believe, this weekend. Lines creeping up. I was going to be that hero and come out here and be like, hey, you got to take the points with the Nittany Lions. A letdown spot. Mendoza and Indiana, number 2 in the rankings. Mendoza being the number 1 pick to the Jets. Do they lose focus going into Beaver Stadium, Chris?
I have a hard time seeing Penn State score points. I took Penn State plus the 20.5 last week, got the first and goal, but ultimately I don't know how Penn State scores. I think last week was a perfect example of a team that you've got a defense that can play ball and keep you in it for so long, and then finally when the dam breaks, there's really nothing you can do. And I feel that's kind of the same way this week's game will go. I think Penn State will hang in there for a while, but ultimately I think the one thing I will say, though, if Surratt is hurt and the linebacker is hurt and they don't play, that could change things a little bit. But I just don't think that Penn State's going to be able to score a lot of points. But your bigger point is well taken, because back in the 4-team era, obviously you only have one year of the 12-team era. In the 4-team era, you used to see when teams ranked 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like they were in the mix and they kind of knew where they were. And the pressure now was on them, like the realization, like, oh my God, we're in the playoff right now. We control our own destiny. I can remember a year Texas A&M was ranked, I think, 4th in the first playoff ranking. They went to Mississippi State as like a 2-touchdown favorite and got beat by 2 touchdowns. Yep. So a lot of times when these teams see where they are and they see the pressure and they see the realization, it kind of gets to them. And if they haven't been down that road before, they don't necessarily always respond the best way.
Yeah, I've had a great season college football gambling, and you can never overlook the look-ahead spot. You know, they got Wisconsin next week, Indiana. No, not a big one. I'm half joking. Hey, let's quickly go to the SEC real quick. The one complaint is there's too many SEC teams in this first college football release. What Would you agree or disagree? I mean, I think I saw 8 in the top 20 in terms of rankings. SEC's got a lot of good, but maybe not any great.
I think here's the thing that I think people have a problem with, and they can't put the two thoughts in their head and have them like stand alone. The following can be true. Both can be true. The Big Ten has 3 of the best 5-6 teams in the country with Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. But the bottom of the Big Ten is terrible. The SEC may not have an Ohio State or an Oregon or an Indiana, but from 1 to 9, it's not even close. So I have no problem with the SEC having a long list of teams in the ranking. I think it's right. I think it's fair. I put out some numbers this week about how in conference play, the number of conference games that went into it with like a 2-touchdown favorite or a double-digit favorite for the SEC Big Ten, like it's not even close. And again, it could just be a yearly cyclical thing. But at the same time, if you're looking at like number 1 or number 10 in the Big Ten being like UCLA and number 10 in the SEC being LSU, like it's a different sport. But I think in the Big Ten situation this year, it's a little unfortunate because Penn State collapsed and bottomed out. Illinois was a team people were banking on. They weren't necessarily it. But they have a chance here. You look at where the committee put some of these Big Ten teams at the bottom. Iowa, USC, Michigan, like Oregon kind of holds the key here to whether the Big Ten potentially could get that 4th bid in, because if USC can go to Eugene and win, that gives them a big win. If Iowa gets a win this week, that's a massive win. If UW can beat Oregon and Seattle, like Oregon is kind of sitting there in the top 10 right now, was like the big shiny object in the sky for all these teams in the Big Ten that are ranked in the playoff rankings that potentially could get that quality win to catapult them into the top 12.
You mentioned the Hawkeyes. I'm just going to put it out there. Is the line still 6 at home against Oregon? Because that's a sneaky, dangerous game for the Ducks. It
is. The one thing I would caution people about here is if you go back and look at the games Dan Lanning has lost at Oregon, a majority of them have been to a team which could throw the ball there. They've allowed like 300 yards passing through the air, 15, 16 touchdown passes in the 7 losses, like 10 yards an attempt. Iowa is not a team that is going to throw the ball up and down the field on Oregon. It's going to have to be, they're going to have to basically what Indiana did, the Indiana game. Close game, ugly it up, trying to control the line of scrimmage, force Mendoza to short throws and not really give them the big play. I have a hard time seeing Oregon go in here and look, everybody's popular underdog this week has been Iowa. So I think that plays into Oregon's hands a little bit. I would be surprised if Oregon went in here and lost. I think their defense shows up. I think it's a lower scoring game. I don't know if I want to lay the 6.5. Yeah. I think the Iowa team total under 16.5, under 17 might be the better way to play this game.
All right, we're contractually obligated to talk about Arch Manning because he had one good game. I think every TV, radio show, podcast has to talk about Arch again in reference to the NFL. Hey, maybe this is his Joe Burrow first year at LSU, and next year he's going to throw 75 touchdown passes. But in all seriousness, some Texas fans are unhappy with their college football ranking. I will just point out, go ahead.
They shouldn't be. I think Texas is in at 9-3. I think where they are, the committee, but people can have whatever opinion of the committee you want, and they did it right, did they do it wrong? Texas at 11 ahead of Oklahoma is where they should be.
Okay.
You look at Texas, if they go 9-3, that means either they win at Georgia or they beat potentially an undefeated Texas A&M. They are getting a ton of credit. And look, this is what we all talked about with the expanded college football playoff. You should get credit for scheduling non-conference games. Ohio State's clearly getting credit for scheduling Texas. That's probably the difference as to why they're number 1. Texas, I think, is getting credit for scheduling Ohio State. You look at, they've got to win over Oklahoma already. They've got to win over Vanderbilt. If they add a win over Georgia or Texas A&M, 9-3 with a top 10 schedule in the country and a power rating through the roof and strength of record, I think at 9-3 Texas is super live to make the playoff.
We got 1 minute left. Last one. So let me, to that Texas point, I'm going to be real. The college football playoff is a TV show. We know that. Will Texas get a bump and get the edge over someone else because of Arch Manning and what he brings to the table? Because we saw the TV rating for Ohio State, Texas.
I don't think that really comes into play with anybody in the selection room. There really is no affiliation with an ESPN, ABC programmer in the selection room right there. I think that's a little overblown. I get it how fans would think that Texas, Notre Dame, Miami, those brands kind of should be in. But look what happened last year. SMU got in the playoff. Indiana got in the playoff over an Alabama or an Ole Miss. So I think it's a fun thing to talk about, but I don't think it exists.
I would keep an eye on that. I like that as a talking point. Chris Fallica, Bear Bets Podcast, Big Noon Kickoff. Keep crushing it, buddy.
We will. Be good, bud.
Thanks. Chris Fallica, good stuff. Rachel, that Arch Manning thing's interesting. We say that doesn't matter, but we just saw the World Series with the Dodgers the last 2 years. Like, people love stars. If you're in that college football room and you've got the choice of Arch Manning versus, I don't know, another team from the Big Ten or SEC, I think they're going to get a bump.
They make it a bump just because the committee likes stars.
Yeah,
not because they think the ratings will be better, but they're a little, influenced by that.
All right, coming up next, one big move that an NFC team did not make, and it saved their season.